Hey, Guy, have you ever decided not to buy something? This is a real world example, not a virtual example. But have you ever decided not to buy something because the line at checkout was too long?
Yes, many times. And in fact, I recently decided not even to return something because the line at checkout was too long.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
The customer service line was too long. You're just like, I'm gonna
I was
I'm
like, I'm
gonna
not
stick
even
with
returning it.
the pink pillows. They're just fantastic.
And that's why I'm like, did they do that on purpose?
So I want to talk about, I'm using that as a real world example, but a problem that happens in legal intake, which is this concept around sales velocity. And sales velocity is fundamentally how quickly someone goes from lead to signed clients. And the reason it's so important is what I just talked about. The slower you are in going from, I think I might want to buy this, to actually purchasing something, the less likely you are to A, buy the thing at all, or B, buy it from whom you're initially talking to. And so sales funnel velocity becomes really, really important. We break the funnel into a bunch of different steps. We talk about leads, which is a phone call, form fill, text, or chat, and then consultations, right? So we've taken, the intake person has decided that we actually want to talk to you. From the consultation, you have what we call attorney qualified leads. This is where a attorney has actually had that consultation and decided that this is a prospect that we actually want. And then signed client, right? And the speed at which people move through that funnel has a very, very high impact on the overall conversion rate of that funnel. And yet, Guy, my gut is most lawyers, well, actually, it's not my gut. Most lawyers don't know those numbers. Most lawyers aren't paying attention to those numbers or thinking about those numbers at all. And so just go to the classic managerial perspective. If you don't measure it, won't get done. How many of your clients do you know are thinking about sales velocity?
Not as sales velocity, but and I'm going to pick a fight with you.
Go. Wow. This was
friendly.
You were just mean to
right?
the conferences, and now you're being mean to me?
Yeah.
All right.
No, this is not. No, I'm per usual, agree with you on many of these things. So if we're talking about how can we improve responsiveness, nurturing, sales stuff that we taught, that's like sales 101 stuff that you can do. I think it's great. And I think to your point, which is like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like your big point is to be measuring these things and working on improving them. And so, if you've got a bad response rate, 100%. If your process is broken, we would call it a pipeline. I don't know if lawyers tend to use pipelines, and some do, but if there's something going on in your pipeline that's causing a block, awesome. Like, we should be measuring that and managing it.
Right.
In some contexts, though, in hiring a lawyer, it's you got to be careful not to walk the line of like, okay, this is, and we're going to talk about this with metrics, but the metric to manage is increased sales funnel velocity. But then, in doing so, conversion went down because now we're harassing people.
Sure.
So that's my only nit.
No, it's a fair point. I was in Golden, Colorado. Icelandic, which is a small ski manufacturer, is headquartered in Golden, Colorado. Their only retail shop is in Golden, Colorado. They had some amazing skis that I was interested in looking at. And the guy there was just like, you got to buy these right now or they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone by October, man. You got to pull the trigger. And I walked out. I was like, dude, I want to learn about your skis.
Right. So that's my devil's advocacy. I think you're 90% are right. And I think the big point here, like, yeah, lawyers aren't doing any of this.
They're certainly not measuring it, right?
Some are. Some
are. I will share with you, for my clients, we do measure this. And those steps in the funnel, we're doing from lead to consultation. So lead to book consultation for our clients on average. And there's, by the way, there's a if you get nerdy about the stats on this, the standard deviation, this is a very flat bell curve. The standard deviations are very wide. And so it's very, very variable here. But on average, we're going from that lead to a booked consultation in 2.7 days. We are going, sorry, 2.8 days. We're going from that consultation book to deciding that you actually want that person as a client or not in 2.8 days. And we are then taking, interestingly, 8.6 days to go from I've decided I want you as a client to actually having that client sign. Right. So interesting data points from us. By the way, if you are
Love
interested,
these data points, by the way.
So data is super important. If you're interested in benchmarking your firm against the data, Guy and I are putting some data together. Mockingbirdmarketing.com/benchmark. You can join that data study, and it'll include numbers like this. But what we have found is if you're an outlier to any of those data points, so just think about things like answering the phone, right? If it takes you a long time to answer the phone, or you don't answer the phone regularly, or if someone fills out a form fill on your site and it takes you a day to get back to that person, you've just taken that step in the funnel and you've added 24 hours to that, right?
Do you have that data point? Because I don't think that's one you mentioned earlier. Do you have that one up in front of you somewhere?
Which
the
data
one
point?
on the from inquiry to response?
Oh yeah,
time?
that's the 2.8 days, right? So
got it.
So I'm presuming that from inquiry to like talking to that person, during that talking to that person, you book the consultation.
Well, that's the issue, right? Because there's a difference between booking the consultation and responding, right? Because the response might be immediate, but the consultation's not booked for 2.8 days.
Sure. Yes, I do not have that kind of immediate response rate. I'll tell you.
I bet you it's
though,
shorter than 2.8 days. By the way.
That is probably true, right? And it's especially true. And I think this is dangerous. This is one of the reasons I don't like this. That metric can actually be not very helpful because you can drop that metric to 0 by having automated responses. Right. And we talked about this lightly before we were prepping for this show. Have you seen those automated Facebook responses?
Facebook response has gone wrong.
Facebook response has gone terribly wrong. So for those of you who don't know, you can automate the process of responding to a message on Facebook. And you can actually make it really user unfriendly. So what would you like to talk to us about? Would you like to sign a new case? Are you looking to talk about your existing case? And Facebook, you actually can make it so you can only respond in one of those defined fashions, right? It's like a choose your own adventure. If you want to talk about anything else, like it gives you the big error message. Terrible user experience, right? This is social media and it is being done very poorly robotically and automated so that no one wants to interface with you at all. That's been my take on this. I don't know if you're seeing success there, but like it has not been implemented well.
Not with the way you just, not if you configure it that way. So, because let's face it, this is no different. If you do it the right way, it can be implemented similar to a chatbot. Now, again, chatbots have problems, and we've talked about that a lot. But yeah, I think to me, which is the sad, again, you're gonna be like, see, beating up the audience again. But a lot of lawyers like that I talk to, they don't even realize that people like they've at some point. This is how the story goes.
Yes,
I had my nephew or niece create a Facebook business page for our firm a couple of years ago. Oh, you did? Let's check it out. Oh, people are sending you messages there for several years that you didn't. Oh, you can get messages here? Right. So that's issue number one. And then, of course, issue number two is that when you start to dig into the messages, sometimes too, and I don't know what the default setting is, but sometimes what happens is like they inadvertently check the auto AI robot response. And so then you're watching all these messages where it's like, hey, I'd like to talk to so-and-so. And to your point, they're like, how can I help you? I'd like to talk to so-and-so, right? And now we're in the Kafka, like my experience with my bank, where it's like you can't get out of the system. Then you just go and choose the other next lawyer.
Yeah, which is what happens, right? So, and there's I was talking to Harlan Schillinger the other day. He cited an old FindLaw study, and I think I've got this number correct in my memory. 84% of people hire the first lawyer they talk to, right? 84%. Now I know that was an old data point, but it's still probably not that far off.
So we should. I don't have it at my hand, so maybe we'll have to edit this in. But Legal Trends Report has this actual data point in it.
Yes. Let's find that worst case.
It is, of course, even though I'm obsessed with it and read it every day. But it's high. But here's the thing. You know what it depends on? whether they like you. So like plenty of people call up, they're going to shop for another lawyer because the lawyer either answered the phone poorly, was abrasive, whatever it was. Like that's the part that people miss. And then it's like you get lawyers that are like, oh yeah, I'm the best lawyer at this in the world. Well, they don't care because they felt like they were treated poorly.
Right. So that's another interesting piece of this sales funnel. We've got the velocity. I don't have the data in front of me right now to share this one, but like, what is that conversion rate through each phase of the funnel? You should know with absolute clarity, in my opinion, your conversion rate in each step of that funnel, as well as the velocity, right? And it doesn't mean that conversion rate should be very high all the time. I just did a post on someone who has a 5% rate of wanted leads, consultations to clients. But that's because they throw most of the clients out, right? But you should know what that is. You should absolutely know what that number is. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to make your firm better.
Money makes a world go round. Money makes a world go round.